Hi, welcome to our third module, which is all about the reproductive physiology and mating systems performed in large ruminants. At the end of this module, you are expected to learn the different reproductive values of cattle and water buffalo, learn the mating systems in large ruminants, and learn the principles of the different reproductive biotechnologies. Reproduction made possible the flow of genetic material from one generation to the next. In animal production, farmers would like to make use of this potential to increase the number of quality animals in their farm. This is important in beef cattle, especially if the objective of the farm is to produce calves for profit. This is also a way to maintain the number of quality stocks for the continuity of the production. In dairy industry, reproduction is important because the gestation length has an influence on the productive milking days of the dairy animal. Through the advancement of reproductive biotechnologies available, a lot of ways were already introduced to efficiently manage the reproductive capacity of large ruminants. For us to understand the reproductive physiology, let us discuss the estrus cycle. The estrus cycle is a set of recurring physiological changes in a female animal that are induced by reproductive hormones. The cycle is composed of phases which includes the proestrus, estrus, metestrus, and diestrus. Each stage shows various changes in the behavior of the animal as influenced by the predominating hormone. For us to understand the cycle, let us define the phases briefly. During proestrus, the pituitary gland of the brain secretes the follicle-stimulating hormone or FSH that causes the ovary to develop follicles. Proestrus lasts for 1 to 3 days before the cow comes into estrus or heat. As the follicle develops, estrogen is secreted by the ovary. The egg grows larger as more estrogen is secreted by the ovary. Estrogen causes estrus or heat. During this time, the cow will be receptive to mating. High estrogen from the ovary causes a luteinizing hormone surge or spike that causes the ovarian follicle to rupture and release the egg. During metestrus, the site of where the follicle ruptured becomes a corpus luteum. This secretes progesterone to inhibit estrus, and if the cow is pregnant, it maintains pregnancy. Metestrus is 3 to 4 days after estrus. Some cows may have a bloody vaginal discharge during metestrus, indicating that they were in heat a day or two earlier. Once the corpus luteum matures, the cow is in diestrus. If the uterine wall does not get a signal by days 16 to 18 of the estrus cycle, indicating that a fertilized egg has been implanted in the uterine wall, the hormone prostaglandin is secreted from the uterus, and the corpus luteum regresses between days 18 and 20 to complete the reproductive cycle. These cycles are widely variable in duration and frequency depending on the species. The estrus cycle of the cow is generally about 21 days long, but it can range from 17 to 24 days in duration. As mentioned, estrus is the period when the cow or Carabao is ready for mating, thus it is important to identify the signs that the animal is in estrus or in heat. The following signs are observed when the animal is in heat, but not necessarily all of them should be observed at the same time. The cow, shortly before the heat period, isolates herself from the herd. She mounts other animal irrespective of sex, and we term this as a mounting heat. Also, she stands to be mounted by other animals, which we often term as standing heat. Normally, an in heat or sexually excited cow has no appetite to eat. Other signs include the reddening and swelling of the vulva, which may be accompanied by a clear mucus discharge. These strings of thin, watery mucus hangs from the vulva during or before estrus. The mucus is watery, then becomes cheesy in consistency as the heat progresses. The animal is also observed to be restless with bellowing or mooing behavior. You may also note frequent urination in small amounts during the duration of the heat period. However, there are some cases that the animal is not showing any signs of heat, and this is termed as silent heat. This is a problem, and to address this, proper recording of the cycle of the animal exhibiting silent heat must be done. The duration of estrus varies greatly per species, per breed, and even per animal. In fact, different references will show you different duration. In beef cattle, estrus normally lasts from 4 to 18 hours in exotic breeds, but indigenous and zebus have shorter estrus period which lasts only for 10 to 12 hours. In dairy cattle, estrus lasts for 8 to 30 hours or 19 hours in average. In Carabao, it ranges from 5 to 36 hours or an average of 18 hours, and majority exhibit estrus at night. Gestation period is the time between conception and birth during which the embryo or fetus is developing in the uterus. This differs depending on the breed of the cattle or water buffalo. In beef cattle, the average is 283 days. In dairy cattle, the average is also 283 days, but the gestation period may range from 260 up to 296 days, depending on the breed. In Carabao, the gestation period or length may range from 295 days up to 339 days. Determining when to breed normally depends on the age and size of the animal. With this, it is important to know the recommended breeding age and weight for both cattle and water buffalo for us not to compromise the animal and utilize its maximum potential for production purposes. Puberty is closely associated with live weight, thus the term target weight is commonly used in breeding practices. At this weight, both the heifer and the bull have fully attained their sexual and physical maturity. In general, properly grown breeding heifers are usually bred at 2 years old. However, a well-developed 18 to 20-month-old heifer can be bred and is expected to calve at 2.5 years old. The ideal weight of the heifer should be 200 to 250 kilograms at the time of breeding. Properly grown bulls should be allowed to breed at least 2 years old in beef cattle or as early as 18 months old in dairy cattle bull. In adult cattle, for example, an already lactating cow, the cow should be bred 60 days after calving depending on the condition of the animal. This is done to provide ample time for the uterus of the cow to return on its normal state before the next gestation. In water buffalo, the recommended breeding age is 3.5 years old for Carabao and 2.5 years old for crossbreds. At this stage, the animal is already weighing the recommended weight of 280 and 350 kilograms respectively. The values are the same for the Cara heifers and for the Cara bull. Now let us identify the different mating systems being employed in large ruminants. There are two possible ways to breed the cattle and water buffalo: the natural mating and the artificial insemination. There are two systems performed in natural mating: the hand mating and the pasture mating. We will compare the two in terms of the approach and the bull-to-cow ratio. In the hand mating, an in-heat cow is brought to a bull or vice versa. The service of the bull is fully controlled as they are being assisted during the mating. After mating, the animals are then separated. For 2 to 3 months, an 18-year-old bull can sire up to 12 to 15 cows. A 2-year-old bull can sire up to 20 to 25 cows, and a 3-year-old bull can sire up to 40 to 50 cows. The bull should only be allowed to breed 5 to 7 services per week or 1 cow per day at most. In pasture mating, the bull is brought in and let loose in the herd of the breeding heifers and cows. This system gives the bull the full freedom to breed an in-heat heifer or cow in the herd. In a single bull herd, a mature bull can breed up to 35 cows in 3 to 4 months of breeding. However, when several bulls are allowed to run on the same pasture, one bull should not be allowed to sire more than 20 cows. In terms of age, the bull can serve up to a total of 1/3 of their capacity in hand mating. In the Carabao, the farmers used to practice night corraling. In this method, a Cara bull and a Cara heifer are placed in a corral overnight since Cara cow usually exhibits estrus during the night. This method is quite effective under the farmer's condition. The other mating system is the use of artificial insemination, or commonly referred to as AI. In this method, the bull's semen is put in the cow's reproductive tract by an experienced technician. Through the years, AI has been proven as a valuable tool for genetic improvement. Apart from that, it offers the following advantages. The farmer can obtain top-quality semen and is much cheaper than maintaining a bull. It can prevent injuries to small cows when mating with large bulls. It can also extend the use of a good proven sire. In fact, with AI, a bull can breed hundreds of cows with only one ejaculate. It is also an effective means of controlling venereal diseases. As the insemination is artificially done, several considerations must be met to have a successful conduct of AI. First, the female animal must be exhibiting estrus with some signs as previously discussed. As recommended, an in-heat cow must be observed 4 times a day, early in the morning, late in the morning, early in the afternoon, and late in the afternoon. In some heat, detection can be done using a teaser bull. This is a castrated bull with translocated penis that is used to detect in-heat cows. Because the penis is translocated, the bull cannot breed the cow but will just help you identify an in-heat cow. Others use heat detection tape which are placed at the back of the cow. If the tape changed its color, it means that it allowed to be mounted by others, thus exhibiting signs of estrus. Second consideration is that there should be a proper storage and handling of frozen semen. AI technicians have a liquid nitrogen tank where the frozen semen is stored. The best storage temperature for frozen semen is -130 degrees or lower. A liquid nitrogen tank has a temperature of -196 degrees Celsius. Removing of semen from the tank should be removed as fast as 3 to 5 seconds. Frozen semen are placed in either 0.5 ml or 0.25 ml straws. Thawing time is different depending on the size of the straw. A 0.5 ml straw should be thawed for 17 seconds at 37 degrees water bath. A 0.25 ml straw should be thawed at 7 seconds and should be inseminated immediately. Third, we must also consider the time of insemination. In-heat cow in the morning should be inseminated in the afternoon, while those in heat in the afternoon should be inseminated early morning of the following day. If the animal is still in heat after 6 hours, the cow should be re-inseminated. Alternatively, the readiness of the cow can also be determined by checking the vaginal discharge. The discharge can be placed between the thumb and the index finger. If the discharge can be stretched for about 10 cm, the cow is then ready for insemination. These are some of the considerations. However, a successful AI depends primarily on the quality of the semen, the technician efficiency, cow fertility, and correct heat detection. A separate video on the detailed process of artificial insemination is made possible for you to grasp and understand the procedure. ESTRUS synchronization is another reproductive management tool which is usually performed with AI. In this method, we manipulate the physiological conditions of the animal to allow the occurrence and synchronization of estrus prior insemination through the administration of a luteolytic agent. Because of ES, it is possible to inseminate large number of cows at one predetermined time since we already know the possible date and time when the cow will be in heat. In a normal cyclic cow, the corpus luteum controlled or inhibits the estrus because of the progesterone. This progesterone exerts negative control on the growth of ovarian follicles. Remember that the growth or maturation of follicle induces estrus. This means that the presence of progesterone inhibits the estrus behavior of the animal. The most common way to synchronize estrus of cows is to regress the corpus luteum with the use of prostaglandin F2 alpha, a luteolytic agent. This will lyse the corpus luteum, thus inhibits the production of progesterone. The decreased amount of progesterone will allow the animal to become in heat around 3 to 5 days after prostaglandin F2 alpha administration. And that ends our short discussion about the reproductive physiology of large ruminant as well as the different mating systems and some of the reproductive biotechnologies used in large ruminant production.